Well, welcome, and let's give them another round of applause. Somebody was mischievous and had me put Kevin Cooley and his ladies in the program. And then I noticed that Phil over here, yes, Phil's over here, and he's got, what, 8 or 9 ladies. I asked him if I could join, and he said, beat it. All right, that's the quality we're in for today. Well, they are, and by the way, that's not merely entertainment, not that there's anything wrong with entertainment, but this drum circle and what they do and what Kevin does is important. This is an important program. This is good for you and be good for you.
Can you get up?
There's room there. Here we go. All right, well, they are moving the drums and the chairs and the talent away for the next act. I want to welcome you. I'm Steve Herlick. Happy to be your MC for the afternoon. Ooh! We're going to have some fun. Dad, I said, please.
There's one more drum.
This is Morningside's Got Talent, the Meadows edition. All right, and we've got talent on the stage, if you will, and we've got talent out here in the audience. And I know that even if you're not performing, each of you has talent, probably many talents. And just think about this, these are gifts from God, so please don't keep them to yourself. Expect to see some of you up here next year. Am I right? You have anything to say, Raymond? About that? Oh, you're not listening. Listen, Raymond, my job is to speak. Your job is to listen. If you finish first, let me know. Okay? Good to see you. Hey, in between the acts, there's going to be a little bit of time like this as we set up for the next one. So I, just to fill some of that time, I reached deep into Chaplain Dennis's barrel, the bag of corny jokes, and it's a deep one. So I'm going to be sharing some news, some tips, some important information with you during the day, or during the show. So you'll leave here smarter than you came. And I hope you'll be able to tell. All right. Our second act. Where are we, by the way? Are we out here? Are we in the room?
We're all around.
All over the place? Well, gathering before you is Grace Notes Community Choir. Woo! Welcome.
Any other Grace Notes singers out there? We need you. Come on. Thanks for having us today for Meadows Got Talent. We rehearse in your lobby at 11 o'clock on Friday, so if you like what you hear, come on, you're all welcome. Right in the middle. Anybody else need music?
There you were.
Actually, I don't have one word. I think you had one. We know the words. Okay, cool. This next song has been sort of our favorite, 5'2" Eyes of Blue. We have props. So get ready.
Run into a 5'2", covered with
Beautiful, thank you very much. Grace Notes Choir, beautiful voices.
Caroline.
Speaking of beautiful voices. Oh, certainly.
Any of those of you who like to sing, join with us as we sing this. But the Meadows group sings on Saturday morning from 9 to 9:30. And I see a few of you lurking in the audience that belong up here. So come on up. We're going to be singing, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms.
Please, really, if you sing in the shower, please come join the group. Just put a towel on. That would be helpful. You have something to say? Because I'm not bringing the microphone over there.
When I sing in the shower, for some reason they say be quiet.
I think we need him up here.
Tell us at 2:30. No, it's not. I
Moving some chairs into place. Now we're going to set this up for poet in residence. One of at least two today. Chaplain material. What does the world's best dentist get? A little plaque.
Hit the hook.
Do you know what the difference is between a hippo and a zippo? One is really heavy, the other's a little lighter. All right. Oh, one more. Because I know we're looking forward to the key cards, you know, and access for safety and security here at the Meadows. But they probably didn't tell you this, so I want you to know. What do you do if you get attacked by a group of clowns? Go for the juggler. Fred went, ladies and gentlemen. Fred went.
Can you hear me? Yes. All right, I said a while ago I had to get organized, get my walking glasses on, and put my reading glasses on. Carmen suggested that I read my contest poem here at the Meadows Talent Show. So I said, okay, I'll read my poem. But it didn't win a prize, you know. Remember, it's already been read by many when it was displayed in the hall. Maybe I should write another one, something new, a fresh one for all. But when I tried to find some words that rhymed and told a story, my rhyming talent abandoned me, creative ability devoid of glory. Finally, I remembered a funny poem distributed by Dick a long time ago. Lost my copy, but Mary found another. I'll read it now, nice and slow. This is from the Dick Stickney collection. It's called The Cat Came Back, and is written by Harry S. Miller in 1893. Now, old Mr. Johnson had worries of his own. He had an old yeller cat that wouldn't leave home. Tried everything he knew to keep the cat away. He took him up to Canada and told him to stay. But the cat came back. The very next day, the old cat came back. Thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He wouldn't stay away. Now this cat was a terror, so they thought it was the best to give him to a feller who was going out west. Train ran around a curve and hit a broken rail. Not a blessed soul aboard that train lived to tell the tale. But the cat came back. The very next day, the old cat came back. Thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He wouldn't stay away. Now they threw him in a kennel where the dog was asleep, and the bones of other cats lay piled in a heap. The kennel burst open and the dog came out beside with his ears chewed off and holes in his side. But the cat came back. The very next day, the old cat came back. Thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He wouldn't stay away. Oh, they snuck into a shop when the butcher wasn't around and throwed him in the hopper where the meat is ground. The old cat disappeared with a curdling shriek, and the townsman's meats tasted furry for a week. But the cat came back. The very next day, the old cat came back. Thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He wouldn't stay away. Now the farmer on the corner said he'd shoot the cat on sight. Loaded up his gun with nails and dynamite. He waited in the garden till the cat came around. 7 little pieces of the old man was all they found. When the cat came back, the very next day, the old cat came back. Thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He wouldn't stay away. Humble fingers here. Get the pages to separate. Well, they put him in a rocket ship, headed for the stars. Got his message back saying, landed up on Mars. Said the men were doing fine, and the monkey and the rat, but they couldn't find a trace of the old yeller cat. But the cat showed up the very next day. The old cat came home. We don't know how he did it, but the cat came back. He wouldn't stay away. Now that's the last verse from the copy that I got from Mary. But I found on the internet, I found another verse that's a little more up to date. It's post 1873. The H bomb fell the other day. Next day an A bomb fell in the exact same way. First Russia, then China, then the USA. The human race was left without a chance to pray. But the cat came back. The very next day, the old cat came back. Thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just wouldn't stay away. No, he just wouldn't stay away.
Thank you, Fred. Classic. That reminds me, what do you call a pile of kittens? A meowing. All right, well, Robert is moving the piano over to the center. For Mary.
Programs, got your programs here.
So I bought the world's worst thesaurus yesterday. It's not only terrible, but it is terrible. They aren't getting better, folks. So might as well laugh. Takes fewer muscles than a frown. Right, it's good for your health. I was having trouble, with the thesaurus, so I invented a new word, plagiarism. Well, you know what? I think we want to. Yeah, we want to. I was going to move the piano to the microphone because I'm a guy.
It's easier.
But you're talking, aren't you?
Just a little.
Okay, sure. You like it.
Thank you. I'm going to start with a poem that fits people of my age. Welcome. The Pianist by Carol J. Fairweather Hughes.
I'll stay here.
Gnarled fingers of hands that were once beautiful fondle the yellow keys. When no one is listening, she randomly strikes a few dissonant notes. Sometimes I have to turn away to keep from weeping at her altered state. But then I see the gray, wrinkled face smile as cards, precise and graceful, drop from her hands like ripened plums. So let's see. These might have to change the glasses. I'm not Fred. 3 pairs of glasses. She has 3 pairs of glasses. 3 pairs of glasses. Sorry, my nerves are getting to me. I'm waiting for that right note.
Thank you, Mary Beth Robertson, new resident. So we've got talent from our new community members. Fred, I think, has lived here before we actually opened. He was waiting. Talent
Camped out.
Veteran residents, and I want to welcome, as they move the piano and Chaplain Dennis starts to make his way up, I want to welcome you all, our residents, and our family members who are visiting. Glad to have you here. Certainly want to do a special welcome to residents at Ballback. Dale, good to have you here. And to staff, hard-working members of our team, and to management, the other ones. Good to have you all here. There's our man Dennis. He's still making his way up, so let's see what he gave me here. I told my wife she grew her eyebrows on too high, and she looked surprised. Oh, here. I know. I didn't drop it so much as throw it away. This one I got from Chaplain Jeff. So I want to give credit where it's due. How do you make holy water? Boil the hell out of it. Who loves eating at the Meadowlark dining room here? Oh, pretty much all the hands go up. Well, so many things have been going on, some new things and changes. Here's another one I think you're going to love. We're changing the name of the Meadowlark to Karma. Karma, K-A-R-M-A, yeah. When you get there, there won't be a menu. You'll get what you deserve. And indulge me one more. I went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, I keep thinking I'm Tom Jones. Is this common?" Well, he replied, "It's not unusual." Chaplain Dennis.
Front porch sitting in an old rocking chair. The sun is hot in the Texas sky. Garden growing, clothes out on the line. The dusty road when a car goes by. Storytelling of days long ago. The only place she'd ever been. I'm singing softly, this world is not my home. Memories take me back again. When I was young and Grandma wasn't old. When she guided me as I watched life unfold. Anything we didn't have, we didn't really need to hold. When I was young, and Grandma wasn't old. She'd throw a party, and all her friends would gather around the quilting frame. And always call out for me to come inside and give me nickels and dimes to sing. It makes me happy that I can still go back. My memories are so clear of how it all used to be when I never dreamed of ever looking back from here. When I was young and Grandma wasn't old, when she guided me as I watched life unfold. Anything we didn't have, we didn't really need to hold. When I was young and Grandma wasn't old. When I was young, Grandma wasn't old.
Thank you, Chaplain. Beautiful classic Willie Nelson.
I'm being sure I'm just saying. You don't have time to tell you.
Get out of here, she says. Oh, you want that on the left or the right?
I just wondered whether they could hear me.
Okay.
I've got to have a place to prop on that.
You bet. I've got just one, and this one's for Wes. Wes, what did Jay-Z call his girlfriend before they got married? Fiance. Oh. This is an essay. An original essay. Dorothy Potts, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together.
One day, not long ago, I got thinking about holidays of my childhood. Can you hear me? Nope. Okay. Okay. There's nothing as frustrating as not being able to hear. Okay. That's better. I don't want it in my mouth. How's that? Better? Okay. I got to thinking about the holidays of my childhood, and I remember always one Thanksgiving especially. It happened when I was 8 years old, and my brother Joe was 4. During early Thanksgiving week, our family faced a very exciting dilemma when a gift turkey was delivered to our house alive, welled, and gobbling hysterically. We lived in Mission, a little town, small town in the Rio Grande Valley on St. Marie Street. It's a quiet residential street. It's now a part of Mission's historic district. I recall that the ominously silent delivery man put this enormous fowl, and he was huge, into our screen front porch. After which, he took the crate and escaped what was obviously going to be an explosive situation. Mama decided to leave the turkey there until a decision could be made about the future of this doubtful addition to our holiday festivities. Our neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, was having a birthday party for her toddler that afternoon, and our turkey was destined to furnish the main entertainment for the couple. No sooner would Miss Jenkins get that little brood of tots into a game circle in their front yard, ready to play, and the turkey would let out a wild gobble and execute an enormous leap into its limited space. Immediately, a wave of children would flock to our porch to view yet again the startling sight of this unhappy captive with its spread wings flapping madly as it rent the air with its arresting call. This happened frequently during the afternoon. Mrs. Jenkins finally moved the birthday party inside her house. Sometime later that day, and just imagine the condition of the porch by this time, Mama squared her shoulders and, stepping carefully through a minefield of turkey droppings, she bravely faced the turkey in his lair. After a few skirmishes, she finally caught the big fellow and tied its feet together. I'm not lying. This is true. Tied its feet together with one of my little brother's outgrown socks. My dad, who believed strongly that man's place was in the office, took little notice of any domestic crisis and was nowhere in sight of home all that day. Mama finally got the great bird into the back seat of the car, and the two of us children with her in the front seat. She began to drive frantically and erratically toward town and Daddy's office. Joe and I watched all backseat activity fearfully and intently, carefully reporting to our mother in faithful detail the turkey's current state of mind and body. I think he's mad at us, or is he asleep? Or, oh, I think he's fixing to fly up here. And I still remember Joe's piping little boy voice, lisping in shocked tones, "Mama, turkey bite me." Now he's doing potty all over our back seat. Working its feet loose from the inadequate restraint of Joe's little sock, suddenly the turkey was all over us. At this explosion of fuzz and feathers, Mama stopped, got Joe and me outside of the car, and slammed the door firmly with the turkey still inside. Holding hands, the three of us fled down the street toward Daddy's office, and by this time, it was only a block away. Still vivid in my mind is the sight of that turkey flailing itself against the back window of the car. Though I have racked my brain, I cannot remember anything more at all about that day. However, from the various family reports on the incident that I have heard since that year, I'm reasonably certain that turkey was not on the menu for our Thanksgiving dinner.
Thank you, Dorothy. You can see talent takes many forms. Writing, singing, playing musical instruments, poetry, and also a little courage to be up here and sharing it with you. But maybe it's not courage, maybe it's knowing that, again, it's God's gift to share. All right. Forgive me, Barbara, as I share with courage. How do you make a waterbed more bouncy? Add spring water. Why didn't the lifeguard save the hippie? Because he was too far out, man. All right, two antennas got married. The ceremony was boring, but the reception was great. Barbara, you like this? Barbara Jones and her clarinet. Welcome.
Many of us are not originally from Texas, but we are now in a setting in San Antonio that is our home. We remember songs from our schools, our respective towns and states, and the world as well. There are many cities in Texas, large and small, that have a song associated with them, either in the theme or in the title. I am not originally from Texas, and I don't know many Texas cities, but some songs that include Texas city names include Abilene, Amarillo by Morning, Austin, Brownsville Girl, China Grove, Crush, Dallas, El Paso, Galveston, is anybody going to San Antone, LaGrange, Lukenbach, Possum Kingdom, not a city but a defined area, Streets of Laredo, and Texarkana. You likely know other Texas cities that have their names in a song. Two Texas songs that we all know are The Yellow Rose of Texas and Deep in the Heart of Texas. You are going to sing the songs with the printed words on the sheet that was on your chair. You know the melodies. You were humming earlier to the other songs. Now you have the words to the songs that you're going to sing as a group. I'm going to try and play. The Yellow Rose of Texas is a traditional American folk song dating back to at least the 1850s. Several versions have been recorded over time. I'm going to play the piano note that we're going to start with. Okay. That dates from 1941. You are part of this song more than just singing. I want to hear you clap your hands. You had earlier practice, now you get to try practice again, or not practice again, but do it for real. We're going to do 2 verses, and I'll play the first note that we're going to that the song starts with. Verses.
Thank you so much, Barbara. You know, Barbara is a very smart lady. You know how I know that? Well, like all clarinetists, she reads a lot. Gotta put a fundraising joke in here, if that's okay. How come oysters never donate to charity? They're shellfishing. You all are not oysters. A Mexican magician says he will disappear on the count of 3. He says, uno, dos, poof. He vanishes without a trace.
Keep it up.
No. I'll keep it going until you come up. Oh, why do chicken coops have 2 doors? Well, if they had 4 doors, they'd be chicken sedans. Okay. I'm about to introduce our next act. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl build in the bathroom?
I didn't get that. Sedan.
The P is silent. All right, Chaplain Dennis returns along with Wanda Popple, and they're going to be sharing What a Wonderful World, guitar and sign and vocals.
You know, if she came forward, we can't see her.
Can you stand on your mark, Linda?
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. One that wanted to express what was in her heart was that is deeply troubling as the world might seem at times. And you don't believe me, just go up to your apartment at 5 o'clock and watch the news. We can have all kinds of dark and dismal news come our way, but it is still a wonderful world.
Thank you, Dennis. Not a bad idea to learn sign language. It's very handy. Speaking of the news, we read a lot about bad behavior and consequences. Do you know where rainbows go when they get in trouble? Prison. Prison. Right. I hear Fred saying, or Fred's coming up next. I hear Raymond saying, one more, please. I'm sorry I was late. I just came back from a very emotional wedding. Even the cake was in tears. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Stokes.
Some of you that have been here a few years probably have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do. I have read this song, this poem 2 or 3 times here, but it's something that we need to hear every so often. And I feel so good about the poem that I had to do it. The Creation by James Weldon Johnson. Now, Weldon Johnson was the son of slaves. He was born in the, I don't remember, 1875. Anyway, he led the movement for the NAACP and was a very, very well-known man and a preacher and most of all a poet. So I'd like to read to you the creation. I have to cheat a little bit. And God stepped out on space and he looked around and he said, I'm lonely. I'll make me a world. As far as the eye of God could see, darkness covered everything, blacker than 100 midnights. Down in the cypress or swamp. Then God smiled, and the light broke, and the darkness rolled up on one side, and the light stood shining on the other. And God said, that's good. Then God reached out and took the light in his hands, and God rolled the light around in his hands until he made the sun. And he set that sun blazing in the heavens. And the light that was left from making the sun, God gathered it up in a shining ball and flung it into the darkness, spangling the night with the moon and stars. Then down between the darkness and the light, he hurled the world. And God said, that's good. Then God himself stepped down, and the sun was on his right hand and the moon was on his left. The stars were clustered around his head, and the earth was under his feet. And God walked. And where he trod, his footsteps hollered in the valleys and bulged the mountains up. Then he stopped and looked and saw that the earth was hot and barren. So God stepped over to the edge of the world and he spat out the 7 seas. He batted his eyes and the lightnings flashed. He clapped his hands and the thunders rolled. And the waters above the earth came down. The cooling waters came down. Then the green grass sprouted, and the little red flowers blossomed. The pine tree pointed his finger to the sky, and the oak spread out his arms. The lakes cuddled down in the hollows of the ground, and the rivers ran down to the sea. And God smiled again, and the rainbow appeared and curled itself around his shoulder. Then God raised his arm and he waved his hand over the sea and over the land, and he said, "Bring forth, bring forth." Quicker than God could drop his hand, fishes and fowls and beasts and birds swam the rivers and the seas, roamed the forests and the woods, and split the air with their wings. And God said, "That's good." Then God walked around and God looked around on all that he had made. He looked at his sun and he looked at his moon. He looked at his little stars. He looked on his world with all its living things, and God said, "I'm lonely still." Then God sat down on the side of a hill where he could think. By a deep, wide river he sat down with his head in his hands. God thought and thought till he thought, "I'll make me a man." Up from the bed of the river, God scooped the clay, and by the bank of the river he kneeled him down. And there the great God Almighty, who lit the sun and fixed it in the sky, who flung the stars to the most far corners of the night, who rounded the earth in the middle of his hand, this great God, like a mammy bending over her baby, kneeled down in the dust, toiling over a lump of clay, till he shaped it in his own image. Then into it he blew the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Fred. Beautiful, profound about hope. Did you get that verse in there about how the earth was hot? Does it feel a little bit like that here? Yeah. It's so hot today. It's so hot. I saw a robin giving its worm its tea. That's terrible. Okay. I've got a great group to introduce here after a few more great jokes. 2 cannonballs got married this morning. I hear they're already expecting babies. Why was the broom late for work, David? He overswept. And it's been 10 years since the invisible man married the invisible woman. Well, their kids are nothing to look at either. Alrighty. May I present with pride the Meadows Rockettes.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes.
That's the Meadows Rockettes. And how many dancers does it take to change a light bulb? 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Well, folks, there's one more act. I've seen the act, so I can tell you now that the talent portion of the program is over. And Ellen will be, though she's loads of talent, she'll introduce them in just a moment, but seems like what we're about to see, this is a good one. A man walks into a zoo. The only animal there is a dog. It's a Shih Tzu. I hope everybody got that. And I don't know, you're sitting there in the audience, you're enjoying this talent, you're thinking about when you were younger, or talents you have now, and what you wanted to dream of doing. I started a band myself. We call ourselves 999 Megabytes, and we haven't gotten a gig yet.
As you know, teachers love to teach, and dancers love to dance. So we will teach, and the class will dance. You will watch, and we'll all have a good time. Now, I must tell you, Doris Reed is the teacher of this class, and she's taught ballet for many, many years. This has been her most challenging, but most fun class she's ever had. And she will be relieved when this is over. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the loosely selected class of 2019 Freestyle Ballet 101 season.
And they say we'll have some fun if it stops raining. I went hiking with Joe Spike. He developed poison ivy.
We need to go back to the beginning. Yeah, you can mess with it.
This is the lesson. Music, maestro, please.
There's a cue.
Hello, Mother. It's very entertaining. And they say we'll have some fun if it stops raining. I went hiking with Joe Spike. He developed poison ivy. You remember Leonard Skinner? He got swimming poison last night after dinner. Ate the waiters and the waitresses. The litigators and the head coach was so busy. So he reached to us from something called Google. This should scare you, but my fun trigger is hilarious. Remember,
Circle.
Jeffrey Hardy. Searching party. One, oh, Haley.
Not that music. Like the music.
Mother, country disregard Atlanta.
That was too embarrassing. Too funny. Too humiliating. As long as you don't blame me.
This is for all the women that used to be blonde. How many blondes do we have here? How many blondes? You used to be blondes. Used to be blondes. As you know, every year the blondes had a convention because they wanted to uplift their image. Because unfortunately their image was blondes were a little slow. They didn't always catch on. So the president is inspiring them. And she stops and she calls one of the blondes up from the front row. And she says, I'm going to demonstrate how intelligent blondes are. So she says, 15,000 times 12,000 is what? 12. Okay. 4,000 times 431 is 12. The crowd starts, give her another chance. Give her another chance. Give her another chance. Okay. 9 plus 9 is 18. Give her another chance.
Well, thank you for coming, and let's give a round of applause to all of our talent today. Be generous, including members, and to the folks behind the scenes who put this together. Carmen, the amazing Carmen, David, A.B., Doris with the teaching, the ballet. Who's more embarrassed than they are? Probably their mothers and fathers, right? But it's all good. Anyway, there's a little message to you on the back of your program. I hope you'll take it to heart about the importance of you sharing your shining talents with us in the community.
Let's honor the MC. Yes.
Oh. Well, thank you for that standing ovation. Appreciate it. Have a great Labor Day weekend.